Dunn always has something to say, and he finds great interviews. Go ahead, Kevin.
Doug, you must have been talking to my wife. She says the same thing. I always have something to say. Yes, but this gentleman here definitely has something important to say. This is, oh, and some fans in the background as well. Jonathon Van Maren from the Canadian Centre for Bioethical Reform, otherwise known as CCBR. Bioethical reform, what has that to do with the pro-life movement?
Well, essentially what we're trying to do is change public opinion on the abortion issue. It's a very simple issue when you start to consider it. It's presented as a complex issue, but the way we look at it, human beings have human rights. Human rights begin when the human being begins, and science tells us when the human being begins. And so what we're advocating for is science-based human rights public policy. And that's something that we know the opposition is scared of, because every time the abortion debate comes up, they say, we're not debating that. And the reason they say that is because they know if the debate happens, they're going to lose.
And so you've been able to tackle this from a scientific issue, you said earlier something that I hadn't thought of before is although it happened, this whole thing happened 50 years ago. You're losing your fans, by the way. The bus is leaving. We weren't around to be part of that debate, and now it's here.
Well, that's exactly it as well. As the people who are saying the debate is closed, the reality is that R.V. Morgentaler made abortion legal for all 9 months of pregnancy a couple months before I was born. Right? None of us were there. We didn't get a chance to debate. Nobody asked us if the Canada we want is the Canada that resulted in the aborting of 4 million of our peers. And it turns out we don't like that very much, and we're making our voices heard wherever we can.
Well, and I see here you mentioned the 4 million, 4 million birthdays. Is it 4 or 40? What was it?
It's 4 million since 1969.
Oh, okay, 4 million since 1969, and so this is a campaign. Can you explain to us what's going on?
Yeah. So what CCBR is going to be doing this summer is it's our goal to reach 4 million people to represent the 4 million Canadians who weren't with us, because it's Canada's 150th birthday this year, and we believe that on Canada's 150th birthday, we should also be remembering those 4 million people who didn't have birthdays, and because they didn't get birthdays, they weren't considering human beings, even though they were here with us. They were physically present, and they were removed from this world in a very violent fashion. We want people to know what happened to those 4 million who are missing.
Wow. A couple of years ago, we had the opportunity to follow you down to Florida for a special program where you train young people to get out there and be good, effective sidewalk counselors, effective pro-life witnesses. Can you tell us about that program?
Yeah, so it's called the Human Rights Project, and essentially what we do is we set up a display in the center of campus, and we take university students from right across Canada during their spring break to debate people on the abortion issue, and they essentially present it as a human rights issue, and we can see a campus explode with discussion, because again, pro-choice is now sort of the standard. People became pro-choice because their parents are pro-choice, and it's the task of our generation to confront our peers who've never had the opportunity to see the truth about abortion and let them know what's going on, because we see thousands of people change their mind when we do that.
That's amazing. I know my son who went with you on that trip, and he was doing some filming, and you were in front of an abortuary and you're praying, and he texted me, he says, "Dad," he says, "we just changed a woman's mind. She's keeping her baby." That's a life.
There was 3 that left that day, actually, 3 women who were heading into the abortion clinic, and then they turned around, and what we know is that a lot of women who are planning to have abortions are looking for a sign not to do it, and we're in the business of giving people signs not to go through with it.
Well, God bless you with all your work, and I'll ask all of our viewers out there to pray for you and your work, because I know you're not only active in Canada, you're down in the States, you're in Florida, you're doing great work out there, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning too, this guy's going to be a daddy soon, so so keep that in your purse too. Congratulations on that.